আসসালামু আলাইকুম। মহিলা অঙ্গন অনুষ্ঠান থেকে আপনাদের সবাইকে অনেক শুভেচ্ছা জানিয়ে শুরু করি আজকের অনুষ্ঠান। আজকে আমরা যদিও মহিলা অঙ্গনে আমরা নর্মালি বিভিন্ন বিষয় নিয়ে কথা বলি, তবে আজকে আমরা কথা বলবো শুধু আমাদের রানী নিয়ে। আমাদের মহারানী কুইন এলিজাবেথ II, উনি আপনারা সবাই জানেন যে উনি মারা যাওয়ার আজকে 9 দিন চলছে। 9 দিন আগে উনি মৃত্যুবরণ করেছেন। তখন থেকে এখন পর্যন্ত সমস্ত দেশ জুড়ে এই যে মর্নিং যেটা সেটা চলছে। তো এখন যে আপনার বাকিংহাম প্যালেস থেকে শুরু করে ওয়েস্টমিনস্টার অ্যাবি পর্যন্ত সব দিকে মানুষ চড়াচড়ি করছে, মানুষ যাচ্ছে আমাদের যে স্মৃতিগুলো দেখতে। এবং দ্য কুইন ইজ লাইং ইন স্টেট, ওখানেও অনেক ভিড়, মানুষ কোনো মানুষ হয়তো 24 ঘন্টা পর্যন্ত লাইন ধরে রানীকে দেখতে মানুষ ওখানে যাচ্ছে। উদ্দেশ্যটা কি আর এইসব করার মানুষের? আমার মনে হয় যে এটা শুধু রানীকে থ্যাংক ইউ বলার জন্য। আজকে চ্যানেল এসের উদ্দেশ্য সেইটাও। চ্যানেল এস আজকে আমাদের কুইনকে থ্যাংক ইউ বলার জন্য, থ্যাংক ইউ আওয়ার কুইন, এই উদ্দেশ্য নিয়ে আজকের এই অনুষ্ঠান। এই অনুষ্ঠানে আমরা আসলে কথা বলবো আমাদের রানীর লেগেসি নিয়ে এবং আমাদের রানী যে ইম্পেরিয়ালিজম, যেখানে একটা এম্পায়ার মালিক, একটা এম্পায়ার, যখন আমাদের রানী অ্যাট দি এজ অফ 25 উনি যখন এই দায়িত্বটা গ্রহণ করলেন, তখন থেকে আজ পর্যন্ত রানীর প্রতি মানুষের অনেক শ্রদ্ধা, অনেক ধরনের অনেক আবেগ মানুষের। এখনও দেখা যাচ্ছে যে সমস্ত পৃথিবী থেকে মানুষ কিন্তু আসছে ইংল্যান্ডে, লন্ডনে রানীকে শ্রদ্ধা জানানোর জন্য। আপনাদের যদি এই ব্যাপারে কোনো কিছু বলার থাকে, মতামত থাকে, এবং আপনাদের যদি শ্রদ্ধার জানানোর আপনাদের ইচ্ছে থাকে, অবশ্যই চ্যানেল এসে টেলিফোন করে আপনারা শ্রদ্ধা জানাতে পারেন। আপনারা জানেন চ্যানেল এস আরেকটা উদ্যোগ নিয়েছে টু থ্যাংক আওয়ার কুইন। চ্যানেল এস একটা বড় ভাবে একটা অন মানডে যে ফিউনারালের দিনে 96,000 people, to feed 96,000 people is the initiative that Channel S has taken along with some community activists and community organizations. এটা নিয়ে আরও পরেও কথা বলছি। যারা এই ব্যাপারে উদ্যোগ নিয়েছেন তারা আজকে স্টুডিওতে হাজির আছেন, তাদের সাথে আমিও কথা বলবো, আপনারাও কথা বলবেন। আর বেশি না দেরি করে আমি আপনাদেরকে এখনও পরিচিত করে দিই আমার স্টুডিওতে যারা আছেন ওনার সাথে পরিচয় করিয়ে দিই। প্রথমে যার সাথে পরিচয় করিয়ে দিব, আমার বাঁ পাশে বসা, উনি হচ্ছেন শামিমা খান। শামিমা, আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Alaikum salam.
You are a teacher, Shamima?
I am, yes. I've been teaching for nearly 10 years. I'm teaching, yeah.
Okay, so I will speak to you and ask you about what your interests are and how you would want to pay your respects to the Queen. তারপরে দর্শক আমি যাচ্ছি যার কাছে, উনি হচ্ছেন আমার ডান পাশে প্রথমে বসা আছেন যিনি, উনি হচ্ছেন লুৎফা রহমান। লুৎফা is a counselor. Assalamu alaikum, Lutfa.
Alaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So I'll come to you, Lutfa, also as a counselor. Are you currently serving counselor?
I'm currently serving counsellor in Redbridge.
In Redbridge, okay. Yes. So I'll come to you and I'll ask you about your political role as well as your personal respects for the Queen and what your thoughts are. তারপরে দর্শক যার কাছে যাচ্ছি উনি হচ্ছেন রহিমা খাতুন, একজন কমিউনিটি ওয়ার্কার। আসসালামু আলাইকুম আপা, কেমন আছেন?
আলহামদুলিল্লাহ
ভালো আছেন। তো আপনার কাছে আসবো এই যে জিজ্ঞেস করার জন্য যে আমাদের যে রানীর যে লেগেসি যেগুলো রয়েছে আমাদের কাছে এবং কিভাবে আমরা শ্রদ্ধা জানাবো। অনেক মানুষই অনেক ধরনের এটা উদ্যোগ নিচ্ছেন, এক একজনে এক এক ধরনের। তো এই যে প্রথমে আপনার কাছেই আসি তাইলে, আপনি তো একজন কমিউনিটি ওয়ার্কার, তো আমাদের যে কমিউনিটি বাংলাদেশি, ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটির কাছে এই রানীর কি ধরনের একটা পজিশনটা কি?
আমরা তো কুইন, যে লন্ডনের কুইন, আমরা তো ওনারে কুইন হিসাবেই দেখি। ওনার তো ধরেন অনেক বড় অবদান আছে আমাদের বাঙালি ইয়েতে। আমরা তো কমনওয়েলথের, উনি তো একজন কুইন, ওনাদের সবাইরে তো উনি হেল্পও করছে।
তো যে যখন আমাদের রানী মারা গেলেন, যে মৃত্যু সংবাদটা আমাদের কমিউনিটি কিভাবে গ্রহণ করলো?
সবারই খুব খারাপ লাগছে, খুব খারাপ লাগছে, কারণ আমরা তো কোনো সময় ভাবি নাই 70 বছর ধরে উনি রাজত্ব করে আসছে আর মহিলা হিসাবে। আর উনি মারা যাবার পরে তো সবাই শোকাহত, খুব খারাপ লাগতেছে সবার, আমারও খুব খারাপ লাগতেছে।
আপনি ব্যক্তিগতভাবে আপনি কি করলেন যখন শুনলেন?
কিছু করার নাই, খুব খারাপ লাগছে। তো আমি ওনারে রেসপেক্ট দেখাইবার জন্য আমি গেছিলাম ফ্রাইডে। আমি আর আমার বড় বোন গেছিলাম 9.5 hours জার্নি
আপনারা
করে।
কি ওই লাইং ইন স্টেট
জি।
দেখতে গেছিলেন? আচ্ছা,
9.5 hours পরে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ আমরা।
কত দূর ছিল প্রথমে যেখান থেকে শুরু করলেন?
আসলে দূর বেশি না, ওইটা ওরা একটু ভিতরে ভিতরে ঢুকাই আর কিউটারে ফ্লো করবার জন্য ওরা কিউটার মানে আটকায়, তারপরে কতক্ষণ পরপর ছাড়ে আর কি এরকম। তো আমরা যখন গেছি হাঁটতে খুব ভালো লাগছে, খুব ভালো লাগছে। সবাই আসলে সাদা, মানে বিভিন্ন দেশের মানুষ আসছে অনেক দূর দূর থেকে। আর আমরাও গেছি, তখন সবাই আসলে যে রেসপেক্ট দিতে চাইতেছে, তো মানে সবার তো একটাই গন্তব্য। তো খুব ভালো লাগছে। গেছি আমরা, ঘুরাইয়ে নিচ্ছে। নেওয়ার পরে আমরা স্টার্ট করছিলাম 3:30টায়।
আচ্ছা, কোন জায়গা থেকে?
ওইটা হলো রদারহাইট।
আচ্ছা, রদারহাইট থেকে।
রদারহাইট টাওয়ার ব্রিজ, দেন
ওই যে বার্মেনজি নাকি যেন ওই জায়গা থেকে শুরু করেছেন। আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ।
রদারহাইট কাউন্সিল, তারপরে আপনার টাওয়ার ব্রিজ, লন্ডন ব্রিজ, ওয়েস্টমিনস্টার ব্রিজ, ফুড ব্রিজ, তারপরে আপনার ল্যাম্পেট ব্রিজ। হ্যাঁ, খুব ব্যথা করছে, সবারই ব্যথা করছে। আসলে যখন হাঁটা যায় তখন কিন্তু ব্যথা করে না, ব্যথা করে তখন যখন দাঁড়াই। আর যখন আমরা পার্লামেন্টের ভিতরে চলে গেছি তখন একটা বড় একটা, বেশি দূরে না, একটা ফুটবল স্টেডিয়ামের মতো, মানে 10 মিনিটের হাঁটা, ওইটা ওরা 2 hours দিচ্ছে, জিগ করে করে ঢুকাইছে। তখন আমরা ঢুকছি, মানে কুইনরে কিছু দেখা যাইতেছে না, রানীরে কিছু দেখা যাইতেছে না, সবাই নীরব, সবাই দাঁড়ায় রয়েছে। খুব খারাপ লাগছে।
ওখানে কি মানুষ কান্নাকাটি করছে?
হ্যাঁ, ওনারা যে সাদারা যারা গেছে প্রত্যেকেই চোখেই পারে। আমারও খুব খারাপ লাগছে, কান্না আসে নাই, তবুও খুব খারাপ লাগছে।
স্বাভাবিক, একজন মানুষ মারা গেছে। তো আপনি যে গেলেন, আপনার যাওয়ার কারণটা কি ছিল?
আমার কাছে মনে লাগছে যে, মনে হয়েছে যে আমার কাছে একটা, মানে কুইন তো আমাদেরকে অনেক দিচ্ছে, সার্ভিস দিচ্ছে। আমারও একটা মানে উনারে একটা শ্রদ্ধা জানাইবার ইচ্ছা হয়েছে। দেখে আসি লাস্ট দেখা আর কি।
থ্যাংক ইউ রহিমা আপা, আপনার কাছে আবারও আসবো। লুৎফা, আপনার কাছে আসি। যে একজন কাউন্সিলর হিসেবে আপনাদের কিভাবে প্রিপারেশন দিচ্ছে আপনাদের কাউন্সিল?
আমাদের রেড ব্রিজে আমরা 4টা ভিজিট করছিলাম। একটা হচ্ছে রেড ব্রিজ টাউন হলে, তারপরে আমার ওয়ার্ডে প্রথম হচ্ছিল হেইনল্টে, তারপরে গুড মেজ লাইব্রেরিতে, আর গুড মেজ ওয়ার্ডে অ্যান্ড ওয়ান স্ট্রিট ওয়ার্ডে।
ভিজুয়ালগুলো কি রকম?
অনেক ভালো গেছে, অনেক সুন্দরভাবে চলছে।
কি হয় ভিজুয়ালে?
ভিজুয়ালে এসে সব আমরা ডিফারেন্ট রিলিজিয়াস পিপল উইল কাম অ্যান্ড দে উইল কাইন্ড অফ পে দ্য রেসপেক্ট। সবাই আসে, যে খ্রিস্টিয়ান, জুস, মুসলিম, শিখ, সব রিলিজিয়াস থেকে, হিন্দু, সব রিলিজিয়াস থেকে এখানে আসে। আসার পরে ওরা একটু রেসপেক্ট জানা, একটু দোয়া করা হয়।
একটা ভিজুয়াল কতক্ষণ ছিল?
প্রায় ঘন্টার দিকে চলে যায়।
দোয়াটা কিরকম হয়? খ্রিস্টান দোয়া না মুসলিম দোয়া?
মুসলিমও হয়, খ্রিস্টিয়ানে করে, হিন্দুরা দোয়া করে, যে নিজের ধর্ম নিয়ে দোয়া করে। অ্যান্ড ইটস ভেরি টাচিং, উইচ রিলিজন, যে কোনো রিলিজন হোক না কেন, আমাদের খুব একটা যেমন আন্তরিকভাবে একটা টাচ করে নেই। যে আর আমি নিজে তো, আমরা কুইন, আমাদের কমনওয়েলথের কুইন ছিলাম, বাঙালি হিসেবে ওখানে, যে উই নো শি ওয়াজ আওয়ার কুইন এজ ওয়েল ফ্রম বাংলাদেশ। মাই প্যারেন্টস কুইন, বাংলাদেশি কুইন ছিলেন। সো ইটস কোয়াইট টাচিং। always known her to be our queen, and 70 বছর পর যখন 70 বছর রেইন করার পরে ও চলে গেলেন, হঠাৎ করে কিরকম একটা ভাব করছে যে, what do we do now?
So what did the queen mean to you?
It meant a lot. I like the royal family. I've always followed them. I met few of the royal family members. So as a child, we still look up to them. And we as children, you always like the royalties, don't you? So I kind of left it in that way.
So you say you like the royal family. What is it about the royal family that you like?
I think what they represent, the public duty, and what they bring to the country as well. They do a lot of things that people don't see it, and sometimes they they just go and they show their face and whatever. But it's hard work, and I think in news now they covered on many occasions that she would be standing for 7-8 hours, you know, saluting or taking salute from the army and things like that, or walking many hours, kind of showing her respect to all our army individually and things like that. It is hard work, but you know, it's not manual labor. It's still, you know, she did do really well until her last day. I mean, 2 days before she took on our new conservative and put her in post. I mean, conservative leader of our country, Prime Minister, and then she, you know, passed away 2 days later. It's quite astonishing that she kept. I mean, she held herself to the last minute.
And
almost.
she kept going. প্রিয়
She kept
দর্শক
going.
শ্রোতা, যেটা আমরা কথা বলছি আমাদের রানী নিয়ে, to thank our queen. She was a very hard-working woman. She worked to the last breath. She worked to the last 48 hours of her life. She appointed our most recent Prime Minister, and that was her 15th Prime Minister. She started with Churchill, who was the first Prime Minister, who received her from the time she landed in England, returning from Kenya after the news of her father passing away. She left the country as a princess, arrived in the country as the queen. And now she died appointing the 15th Prime Minister of this country. So what more can we ask for from our queen? She has given, as Lutfa just said, that they bring a lot to the country, and it's not always obvious what it is that they bring. So I ask you to call and share your stories and your views on what you know about the royal family and how it feels to you, and also what did the Queen mean to you, and how are you mourning this loss of a great person and a great individual, a great woman, a woman who died at the age of 96, served the nation and the Commonwealth for 70 years, 7 decades. A lot of us probably won't even live till 70. I'll wait to hear from you. তারপরে আমি আসি শামিমা, তোমার কাছে, sorry, Shamima ito. That's right. Okay, yes, it is Shamima. So Shamima, you are a teacher, a primary school teacher.
Yes, I am. Yeah, sorry.
You are. So when the news about the Queen was announced, and it was on a working day, wasn't it, school day? And did you, the next day, you went back to school, how did the children in your school react, and how did you manage and contain the children in your classes?
Well, on the day, it was Thursday, I remember I was sitting in the staff room with the other teachers, and we saw on the news that Her Majesty the Queen wasn't very well. And for obvious reasons, we can't follow the news whilst we're in the classroom. But then the following day, when the children did come to school, everybody knew the children were asking questions. They knew about the Queen. They just celebrated her Jubilee before the summer holidays, and they all enjoyed it. They learned about the history and the culture and the tradition and what the Queen brings to our country and the Commonwealth. So children were very obviously quite upset and distraught. We held a special assembly where we celebrated the Queen's life and answered questions that the children had, and we provided support that the children may require.
So what sort of support? Give us an example of what sort of support the children needed.
So we were expecting some children to be quite upset. So we were always available to listen to them and share their concerns, and also reassure them and give them that comfort that the Queen has served 70 years, a very long time. They have only ever known one Queen. I have only ever known one Queen. So it was a life-changing moment. So even though they'd not met her, for them it was life-changing.
What did it mean for you, the loss of such a remarkable woman?
For me, as my sister just said, she's always been there. She'd been there for 70 years, and she was there during my parents' reign. And for me, she was this incredible, remarkable woman who not only stood as the head of state, but coming from a period where women didn't have many rights, women didn't drive, women didn't join the army. She served in the UK. She became a qualified engineer, and she did her part for the war. And from then on, she'd always served, given her life, and she gave her life.
What did she mean to you as a woman?
As a woman, she was an inspiration. She was the head of her house. She led her house and her family. As a professional, she always held her head high, never put a foot wrong. And she was there as a mother and a grandmother. The devotion she has to all her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, it's just never seen.
You say she led the nation at a time when women didn't have much involvement in society. How did she involve women?
Well, she led by example. She qualified as an engineer and she supported the war efforts. And that showed the people, if the Queen is doing that, then so can we. And many women did get involved and they did serve in the land army going forward.
Did she make it easier for women to come into power and come into authority?
I feel, in a sense, she did make it easier for women to perform these roles, but where society was still developing, the public view was changing their ideas. So it was a gradual change, but that change did come, and the Queen led on that.
Okay. So in terms of your pupils at school, tell us a story of anyone that struck you as in terms of how small children, and you're in primary school, so primary school children they go up to the age of 11 or maybe 12. Yeah. So such a young person, how it impacted on them.
So my children, my class, they're year 5, so they're 9 going on to 10 years old. And where I teach in Hackney, it's a school where children will know about the Queen, but they wouldn't necessarily go and visit Buckingham Palace or know the history. But her passing raised these questions, what they wanted to know more. They'd learned about her before during the Jubilee, but what happened when she passed, they had further questions, and we changed our planning that day to support them and to help answer their questions. So,
and what sort of questions did they ask?
They wanted to know, they wanted to know me personally, what did the Queen mean to me, just as you're asking now, and I was able to share my views. The school where I work, the Queen Mother actually visited in 1962, and I had some photos which I was able to share with the pupils, and for them it was such a moment to know that royalty had visited their school, and that sort of elevated the Queen to them.
Have you gone to see the Queen lying in state?
I haven't been yet to see her lying in state. I went and I showed my respects earlier in the week. I placed some flowers in Hyde Park. I will potentially be visiting tonight, so I will start that queue.
You better wear good shoes.
Definitely, I'll be changing before I go.
It's also quite cold outside now and people are still queuing up. So I'll come back to আপা আপনার কাছে আবার আসি রহিমা আপা। এই যে আপনি গেলেন দেখতে গেলেন, আপনি আর আপনার বোন আপনারা দুইজন গেছেন, তো 9 ঘন্টা আপনারা কিউর মধ্যে দাঁড়িয়েছিলেন, তখন যে অন্যান্য মানুষরা যারা নিশ্চয় অনেকের সাথে কথা হয়েছে, সো ওখানে কি কোনো স্টোরি কারো কাছে শুনেছেন অ্যাবাউট দ্য কুইন, যারা হয়তো কুইনকে মিট করেছেন বা কুইনের সাথে দেখা হয়েছিল কিছু একটা?
না, ওনাদের এমনি আমরা কথাবার্তা হয়েছে, বাট ওনারা কোনো সময় মিট করেন। একজন মহিলার সাথে দেখা হয়েছে, উনি নিউ ক্যাসেল থেকে আসছেন। ওনার আম্মা খুব পছন্দ করে কুইনরে, তো ওনার আম্মা তো আসতে পারে নাই, তো ওনার আম্মা বলছে যে যদি তুমি যাও দেখে আসো, আমার স্টোরিটা এসে বললো। আর আরেকজন আসছেন নেদারল্যান্ড থেকে, সবাই আসছে বাইরে থেকে আসলে কুইনরে দেখার জন্য।
সো কুইনের মধ্যে এমন কি ছিল যে এত মানুষের মন আকর্ষণ করলো, এত মানে মারা যাওয়ার পরেও যে বিদেশ থেকে অনেক দেশ থেকে, আমি তো নিউজে শুনি যে কেউ মানে অস্ট্রেলিয়া থেকে মানুষ আসতেছে, ইজিপ্ট থেকে আসতেছে, বিভিন্ন দেশ থেকে আসতেছে, কেন, কি এমন জিনিস ছিল আপনার মনে হয়?
আসলে সবার কথা জানি না, বাট আমার কাছে ওনার একজন আদর্শ মহিলা, একজন আদর্শ মা, আদর্শ দাদি, আদর্শ কি বলবো, একজন আমাদের কুইন হিসাবে আর কি উনি সব দিক দিয়ে উনি যোগ্য ছিলেন আর কি।
একজন মহিলা হিসাবে আপনার কাছে কি মনে হয়, কি দিয়েছেন আপনাকে উনি?
আমার কাছে ওনার যে ফ্যামিলিটা উনি যে মেনটেন করে নিচ্ছে একজন কুইন হিসাবে, মানে একটা মর্যাদা ওনার ফ্যামিলির যে একটা সম্মান সবকিছু কিন্তু উনি ধরে রাখছে। আমার কাছে ওই জিনিসটা খুব ভালো লাগছে যে ওনার বাচ্চারা নাতি বা কোনো মানে যেটা রাজকীয় হিসাবে করা দরকার উনি সেইভাবেই কিন্তু করে নিচ্ছে।
ঠিক আছে আপা, আমি একটা কল নেই, আমার একজন কলার আছেন লাইনে। হ্যালো, আসসালামু আলাইকুম কলার, কে বলছেন, কোথা থেকে বলছেন?
Walaikum salam. My name is Ayarun and I'm calling from Wales. So I went to a vigilant today and it was attended by various faiths, including our imams as well as other faiths. So the reason why I attended is to show respect, and what the Queen meant for me was as a female, I can feel a sense of empowerment by following the type of work that she did. So from a personal side of it, such as how she ran her own family, the domestic side of it, her own personal life, as well as maintaining that professional life. So sometimes, we can get so overwhelmed with just being mum as a mum identity. But for me, I can see, took that example, took that sense of achievement and empowerment from the Queen herself as a female, and that has been powerful for myself. And as you have discussed, she worked up until the last 24 hours of her death. And that is such a sense of empowerment for me as a female, as a mother, and as a professional working in the community. So it was a very special moment today, attending the Vigilant. It was very sad, yet it was very moving. So that's what it means for me by attending the Vigilant today. So I thought I'll call in to share that.
Thank you very much for calling, but do stay on the line because I would like to ask you a couple of questions. So you've attended a vigil, but are you going to come and see the Queen lying in state?
Unfortunately, my work would not allow me to have the time to go and attend that. No, the journey from Swansea is nearly 5 hours. And then the hours of queuing, and so I wouldn't be able to with the time, and I don't have any annual leave as well. I've taken up on my leave.
So
if I had the time, yes, definitely I would have been attending, definitely.
So can I ask you, then you talk about empowerment. She absolutely inspired you and you feel empowered by the Queen. So as a woman, what is it that the Queen has inspired you on that you will pass on to your next generation?
So, we are, alhamdulillah, we are blessed in this country. We have so much opportunities, even as a mother. When the children are in school, we can enroll into courses. We can have a sense of achievement by doing so much opportunities there is in this country. Okay, so by looking at what the Queen has done, her professionalism in how she led the country. Being a Bengali mother, sometimes we can just be bogged down with being a mum and in that role.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. That's a really good point that you bring, that just being a mother, we might just get trapped into the thinking that that's all, and I'm very busy and I can't do anything more. But clearly she gave an example that she can do more and lots more. We need to go to a quick break. After the break, we'll see you again. Stay with us. Assalamu alaikum. আসসালামু আলাইকুম প্রিয় দর্শক শ্রোতা, আমরা আবার ফিরে এসেছি মহিলা অঙ্গন অনুষ্ঠানে। কথা বলছি আমরা আজকে টু থ্যাঙ্ক আওয়ার কুইন। কুইন 70 বছর পরে আমাদের কুইন মারা গেছেন। কুইন মারা যাওয়ার ফলে আমরা অনেকেই অনেক ধরনের প্রোগ্রাম, অনেক অনুষ্ঠান করে যাচ্ছে। চ্যানেলস বিশেষ করে ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি অর্গানাইজেশনকে নিয়ে, কমিউনিটিকে নিয়ে একটা বিশাল আয়োজন করেছেন, যেখানে এই প্রত্যেকটা লোকাল এরিয়াতে মানুষ খাওয়ানো হবে। তো সেটা নিয়ে কথা বলার জন্য এখন আমার সাথে আছেন একজন নতুন গেস্ট। আগের যে গেস্ট ছিলেন রহিমা আপা, ওনাকে ধন্যবাদ দিই। আর এখন আমার সাথে আছেন ওয়ান অফ দি অর্গানাইজার্স আইয়ুব করম আলী ভাই। আসসালামু আলাইকুম আইয়ুব ভাই, কেমন আছেন? ভালো আছেন? সো আমাদের কুইন মারা যাওয়ার ব্যাপারটা নিয়ে আমরা কথা বলছি এতক্ষণ, যে হোয়াট শি মেন্ট ফর আস ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালি। আমার যে আগের যে গেস্টরা বলেছেন, আপনার জন্য উনি কী ছিলেন এবং কীভাবে আপনাকে কীভাবে ইম্প্যাক্ট করলো এই যে উনার চলে যাওয়াটা?
কুইন তো অনেক দিন ধরে কুইন হিসাবে ছিলেন, প্রায় 70 বছর। এর মানে আমার জন্মের আগে। আমি যখন প্রথম এই দেশে আসছি তখন কুইন এলিজাবেথ II কুইন ছিলেন, আর ইদানিং মারা গেলেন। সো আই হ্যাভ নট সিন এনি আদার মনার্ক অ্যাপার্ট ফ্রম কুইন এলিজাবেথ। এবং যদিও মনার্কির ব্যাপারে আমি তেমন একটা ইনথুজিয়াস্টিক না, বাট এই দেশে তো এই যে মনার্কিয়াল রোলও না, মানে রুল না। এই দেশে হলো কনস্টিটিউশনাল মনার্কি। মনার্কিদের একটা প্লেস এদের কনস্টিটিউশন দিয়ে দিছে এবং পার্লামেন্টকে দিয়ে দিছে দেশ চালানোর দায়িত্বটা। সো ইন দ্যাট সেন্স ইজ এ constitutional democracy which respects constitutional monarchy which respects democracy. So in that sense I don't have any problem, because a lot of my friends ask, are you a monarchist? And I said no, here you don't have রাজত্ব নাই যেভাবে অন্য দেশে আছে এইভাবে. So that's the first thing. এখন if you leave the institution of monarchy on one side and consider the individuals, particularly the Queen, I think she has been a remarkable figure, a remarkable person in the life of British people and the world generally. She's been a force for good. প্রত্যেক ক্রিসমাসে যখন উনার কথা আমরা শুনতাম, কুইনের স্পিচ, she is so calm, so polite, so nice. তার যে ভাষা, তার যে empathy with the people, that used to impress me. So in that sense তার সাথে একটা affinity আমাদের হয়ে গেছে, and we all love her. She is an inspiring person. She has been an inspiring person. She has been a very lovable person, and that is evident by the way people are grieving. They are going to see her for the last time in Parliament. I hear that there are 5 miles queues. There are going to be about 70 head of state coming from all over the world. There will be more than 2 million people on the day of the funeral. So I think, whether you are a monarchist or not, you can't stay away from it. We are in it. We've been mourning her death for the last 8 days. All you see is Queen's funeral and what's happening, and quite rightly so.
Absolutely. So on our national television, Sky Television, social media, Twitter, whatever medium you follow, you will see that people are talking about the Queen, some good, some bad, and there's always, the opposition isn't there, which is fine, because the royal family does represent the empire, does represent imperialism, the colonialism, and imperialism, it has its own legacy as well, and we can't shy away from that, and we will speak about that in a minute. And I've got a teacher who can tell me how they teach imperialism and the colonialism and the impact of colonialism. So coming to you then, you're wearing a T-shirt saying, "Thank you, our Queen." Tell me a little bit about what is this initiative that Channel S has taken alongside with British Bangladeshi community members. Okay,
so we are in mourning nationally. There has been a period of 10 days of mourning. The day of Queen's funeral, there will be a national holiday, right? So this idea came to my mind when I was watching what's going on TV, when government declared the following day after Queen's death, that there will be 10 days of mourning. So I thought, look, we will be mourning with the nation. We will be going through this process. On the day, we'll have a day off. Some of us will probably go to Buckingham Palace or surrounding areas and join the mourners. That's great. But that will be just be with the crowd. What can we do which will be a unique thing that we will take to the party? So this idea of doing something unique came to my mind. And then I started thinking about what happens in Bangladesh, right? This is not a Muslim woman, so we cannot associate the tradition that we have in our religion with her. But it has a social function. So everybody who comes to a funeral in Bangladesh, they usually get fed. We call it shinni, okay? Here we are not calling it shinni, but the spirit behind it is to those who come, go through the process of grieving, take their time to come and console the relatives and others. They, as a sign of appreciation, they are fed as a way of saying thank you. So I thought, why don't we, British Bangladeshi community, because we have a successful catering industry in this country, organize something around food, which is very much part of our culture, which is very much part of our tradition. So this idea of food packs being distributed by our community, on behalf of our community, to say thank you to our Queen, a special thank you for a very special person.
So you are saying a very special thank you to a very special person. What are you saying thank you for?
All the public duties and service that she has done over her life. As I said, leaving the politics and the history on one side, as an individual, she was, as I said, a very impressive character. An old woman who has been at it, even in her last dying days. 2 days before she appointed her last prime minister, she could have said, I am not there anymore. You get on with it. She didn't. And you see the amount of enthusiasm. I think she is an example of, how much you can achieve and how you can, contribute for the betterment of society, humanity, if you have the willpower and determined. She was that person for me.
So thank you, Ayub Bhai. So you are right. She did work till the last minute because the first prime minister she appointed was born in 1874, and the last prime minister she appointed was born in 1975. Yes. Almost 100 years, between the two of them, and she was reigning for 70 years. So I guess for the British history, she is the longest reigning monarch that we have had. She is a woman. She was a woman. She was 96 years of age, and probably in this country there are very few people who are still alive, mobile, active, effective as she was. So the question then I will ask you, which is it's a good initiative. It's a very impressive. It's unique. You're right, and it is something that we will be giving, and it is our way of saying thank you. So, what is this food container going to contain?
Okay. Before I come to that question,
Well, I want to know what's in there because I want to come and eat.
Yeah, of course. You are all welcome, and I'll say how you can go and eat and contribute as well. One of the things that I'm hoping will happen as a result of this, because this is not a small initiative. Thanks to our community's response and Channel S coming forward when I came to share the idea with them. One of my hope is that all these things that we are doing and will be doing on the day, I hope it will come to the attention of our King, Charles III. And if it does, then I think it will touch him. And he will remember it. And that might do some good to us, because he's going to be there for next 10, 15 years. And if he remembers that British Bangladeshi community not only mourn with the world and the nation for my mom, but they also brought something very unique, very special to the party. That might do a lot of good to our community.
So-
I think this is a positive PR that motivated me. Now, let me come back to your question. What are we doing? So we have been donated a big kitchen by a very established caterers.
I understand it's a warehouse.
Not warehouse. It's a mega kitchen.
Okay, it's a mega kitchen.
It's a kitchen that they use for producing 7,000 meals a day.
Okay.
It's approved by this food standard agency. It's a proper fitted kitchen, lovely kitchen. We have been using this kitchen since yesterday to make samosas. We have got a team of professional people headed by a chef who are making the ingredients. Then we have a line of volunteers who are just making samosas.
Just doing the dough, kneading the dough, all of it is.
No.
No?
Dough, we have what we call the samosa pad.
Oh,
all the
yeah.
ingredients, you will be pleased to know, have been donated by people in our community. So if you go to our kitchen, you will say stacks and stacks of ingredients. Onion, potato, peas, the whole lot.
এগুলো সব বাংলাদেশি ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশিদের অবদান।
অবদান তারা আমরা তাদের কাছে অ্যাপ্রোচ করার পরে বলছি ভাই আপনাদের সহযোগিতা চাই, সাহায্য
অন্যান্য
চাই।
বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটি ছাড়া অন্যান্য কমিউনিটি দিয়েছে।
আমরা ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটি।
মাই আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং ইজ যে টার্কিশ কমিউনিটিও দিয়েছে, এটা কন্ট্রোল রুম থেকে আমাকে বলা হয়েছে।
টার্কিশ কমিউনিটির একটা লোক আছে ফারহান আমাদের চ্যানেলে যে কলিগ।
Thank you. I think what I'll do, I'll come back to you in a minute, Ayub bhai. Let me just go to Shamima. Shamima, this is really, what Ayub bhai was talking about in terms of what the Queen meant for us, the British Bangladeshi people, and he obviously, like all of you have, focused on the individual rather than the politics. And rather than what the impact colonialism has had on the imperialist, the empire. You as a teacher, how do you teach this? Because we have learned from imperialism. We have learned about the impact. We've learned about the strengths and the deficits of colonialism, of the imperialism. How do you teach it?
I think, first of all, before I get onto your question, we need to separate imperialism from the Queen. Imperialism was happening well before she became our Queen. In fact, it's something that she'd inherited from those who'd gone
by
before.
Default.
Yes. But what the Queen has done is effectively she's turned it around from the British Empire into the Commonwealth. And she has headed the Commonwealth, and she has done so much good since changing the face of what it means to be part of the Commonwealth. It's no longer being imperialised, being dominated.
So what is the difference between imperialism and Commonwealth?
Well, then this is my personal view. With the imperialism, there was invasion, there was taking over, there was domination happening. With the Commonwealth, even though it's something that has been signed, it's a conversion, it's something that feels more something like they buy into, like a philosophy. We've got countries who have become...
So now, under the Commonwealth philosophy, if you want to call it that, countries have autonomy. Yes, they have autonomy, they rule their country, they rule by independence, but it is no longer that the British will rule and dominate.
Absolutely, that is the difference. Each country has its own government, its own politicians, they have their own...
But they've signed up to this agreement of wanting to be part of the Commonwealth. But there are other countries who want to be part of the Commonwealth, but the Commonwealth does not want them. Why is that?
I'm not sure why that is. But there are countries who no longer want to be part of the Commonwealth,
absolutely.
And those countries do have the choice of going through the process of removing themselves.
So when the Queen came into position, into reign, she had 32 countries under her. She died with 15. So obviously there are many countries that have come out of of this, and I think most recently, was it Prince Andrew?
Barbados.
Was it Barbados? Recently. I think Prince William went to Barbados or one of the countries, and they have expressed, was it Jamaica's also, I think,
Well, I mean,
Is Jamaica, yes.
Yes.
Prince William went to visit Jamaica recently, and they expressed a desire to come out, and he was actually having that conversation, and he was interested in that conversation. And I think this is something that we will see very soon under King Charles III, that we will see new changes happening. So I'll come to Lutfa. No, I haven't. I've ignored you for a little bit, but I haven't intentionally. So Lutfa, tell me, I understand this big initiative, this big wow idea, to thank our Queen, and Anupai has given a good description. So tell me, in this food pack, what have you as a volunteer, I understand, what contribution have you been making?
So I went and there's a group being created and lots of volunteers being recruited. So I went and made some samosas. The skills I have, I used it, and I'm hoping I went with my husband.
So is it just going to be samosas in the container?
Yes.
Yes, samosas.
Samosas.
What are they? Vegetable samosas
Vegetable
or
samosas.
vegetable?
Yes. Yeah.
And water, I'm assuming,
Water is
or
the-
tea.
yeah.
what can I
Yes,
just
yeah,
come
yeah,
in here?
You'll know more about it.
So we are hoping that not just Monday, but as long as it is required, we will distribute 96,000 samosas.
Is it only going to be in London, Ayubai,
No,
or is
it's going to be in other palace cities, let's say. So it will be in Windsor, one in Balmoral, one in Wales.
So my understanding, Ayubai, just to
Sandringham.
help you out, because I'm mindful of time as well, time is a factor. So my understanding is that it will be distributed in every city where there is a palace and around the Commonwealth.
But I'm concentrating on London.
London.
I'll tell you what's happening in London. So in London, we are aiming to produce about 20,000 samosas, 10,000 packs, or possibly 40,000 samosas, 20,000 packs.
So 2 million people attending.
Yeah.
And 20,000.
Let me finish. So we will produce these samosas, all vegetable, in this kitchen, and from this kitchen we will take the samosas to a distribution center, and that will be, we'll have a marquee. Local authority has given us permission. Police have given us
Where
permission.
will this marquee be?
It's going to be in Tower Hill, okay, in Trinity Square, and from there we will have all our volunteers. We have recruited about 200 so far. They will wear this T-shirt, their volunteer badge, and we will give them a nice basket full of samosas. And then they will go into the crowd and they will distribute them. When their basket is empty, they come back to the marquee, they take more. And,
so
and there will be
just samosas and waters being given out.
and there will be a van doing the running between the kitchen and the distribution point all
Refilling.
day. So what we want is lots of volunteers tomorrow to come and work in the kitchen. And it's a big kitchen, Lutfa will tell you.
I know,
it's a
Lutfa
nice
has,
kitchen to
shown
work
her
in.
sleeve.
I was there with my wife yesterday, and they enjoyed cooking. We will look after them. We will have lunch, dinner for them. So we will feed them. And then on Monday, we want 200 people. We are working on it. We're nearly there. But we want lots of people to turn up at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in Tower Hill. They will see a big marquee
and what
with
will
banners.
the marquee be called?
With banners,
okay,
which will
banners.
say, "Thank you, our Queen."
Okay.
It's what's in his T-shirt.
And we have T-shirts for all of them.
Okay.
So we want to create
have
a
them in
big
all sizes,
impact in
I'm
terms of our
taking, yeah?
presence, large and medium.
No extra large?
Extra large.
Not so far, but I get that there will be some people who will require it.
There are some extra large. There will be some extra large. They will be wearing the T-shirt, and they will be representing the British Bangladeshis, and that's the whole aim, one of the aim of the project is we want to make our presence here, that we do exist here, and this is just as our country as much as anybody else is, and we want to be contributing toward this and supporting the community who's, they must be hungry standing there. Yes, they have the wristband. Yes, they go.
So why not feed all of the people who will be there? Because, feeding 96,000, which is going to be around the nation, and feeding 20,000 here of 2 million.
Okay, well,
We wish
I mean,
we
I
could.
think, feeding and getting the social reward for it doesn't stop in one day, does it? No. We can carry on.
If the Queen was here today,
I think
if the Queen was here today, what would she say?
I think she will thank us and she'll appreciate what we are doing here.
I think she'll be chuffed.
Yeah.
To say
British
the least.
Bangladeshi community.
Very pleasantly.
These people have heart. Because this is coming from the heart. saying thank you.
We have to go on
A special
break
thank
now.
you to a special person.
Well, let's go to a break and we'll come back and continue the conversation. প্রিয় দর্শক শ্রোতা, আমরা একটু বিরতিতে যাব, বিরতির পরে ফিরে আসবো, আমাদের সঙ্গেই থাকেন। আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আসসালামু আলাইকুম প্রিয় দর্শক শ্রোতা, আমরা আবার ফিরে এসেছি মহিলা অঙ্গন অনুষ্ঠানে। কথা বলছি আজকে আমাদের কুইন নিয়ে, টু থ্যাংক আওয়ার কুইন। কীভাবে আমরা আমাদের কুইনকে থ্যাংক ইউ বলবো। সো সেখানে দেখা গেল যে আয়ুব ভাই বলল যে একটা উদ্যোগ নেওয়া হয়েছে ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি এবং চ্যানেলসের পক্ষ থেকে, যেখানে খাবার বিতরণ করা হবে সোমবার দিনে। সো আয়ুব ভাই, কামিং ব্যাক টু ইউ, এই যে আপনারা তো মেগা কিচেনটা নিয়ে বললেন আমাকে যে একটা কিচেন একজন ডোনেট করেছে জাস্ট রান্নাবান্না করার জন্য, তো কী পরিমাণ ভলেন্টিয়ার আপনারা সোফার পেয়েছেন?
হ্যাঁ, কিচেনটা ডোনেট করেছেন আমাদের একটা কেটারিং অর্গানাইজেশন, ইটস কল অল সিজনস কেটারার্স, এবং তাদের একটা বড় কিচেন আছে লেইটনে, ওই কিচেনটা তারা আমাদেরকে ফ্রি অফ চার্জ দিয়েছেন। সো দে আর কন্ট্রিবিউটিং এ লট। উই আর ভেরি গ্রেটফুল টু অল সিজন কেটারার্স। The proprietors are working alongside our volunteers. I was there all day today, yesterday afternoon. They are at it. So I'm very, very grateful to them. Volunteers, আমরা গতকালকে আমরা যখন কিচেনটা ওপেন করি বিকালে 5টার দিকে, we had about a dozen women and men. We had a group of children from a school, London Enterprise Academy. They came with their teachers to also help us launch the event. They prepared samosas, they did the cutting, chopping, all of that. So it was a great event. You know, it was uplifting.
How many volunteers do you need to get this through, to implement it the way you want to implement it?
So tomorrow we need at least 100 volunteer working in the kitchen, different shifts. We've got 3 shifts, 10 to 1, 2 to 5, and 5 to 10. So we are hoping that in every shift we will have more than 20 volunteers working, along with the chef and his team. And we've got the raw materials all ready for volunteers. We want skilled samosa makers. The pastry is there, the mix is there.
So even if they're not skilled and they want to support and help, they can still come.
All welcome.
They can
all
do
welcome.
the onions or the chopping or whatever it is.
Our chef is an ex-Hilton chef. He will
organize
give a task, a lesson in samosa making, and you will be able to run with it.
So you need more volunteers. Yeah. And what else do you need in order to carry this out?
Okay, so we want volunteers. We also want sponsorship, because all the money we are spending, we have got some sponsorship, but we still have a deficit. So we want to make sure that we are able to pay our contractors, that we are getting, for instance, the T-shirts and all the other stuff. We also want, even at this stage, grocery shops or cash and carries who can donate ingredients that is needed for making samosas. We have a list. We can provide that list with them.
So this is all based on charitable donations?
All charitable donation.
Okay.
So we are not a commercial. This is an idea that we conceived about 8 days ago. And this is where we are now, today.
So you were saying earlier on, if Prince Charles if this was to get to Prince Charles, what it would mean for the Bangladeshi community. Did you say that earlier on?
Yeah, I was saying.
So I was wondering, how do you think it would get to him?
Okay, I pray and hope that all the work that we are doing, I know there is a lot of publicity within our community. We issued a press release yesterday for national press. We are getting some inquiries. I hope there will be some national coverage. I have written to the palace about it. I've written to Metropolitan Police. I've written to Bangladesh High Commission knows about it. Our Prime Minister is visiting this country at the moment. She knows about it. I hear that she had a phone call from our new king. I'm sure this would not be in her agenda, but who knows? Who knows? She might mention it. So and also I hope the press coverage will be collected for the king and
So
presented
if-
to him. So
if-
somehow, I'm hoping that he to come to his notice.
So if it does get to his attention,
Yeah.
what difference do you think it will make to the narrative of the Bangladeshi communities? Because this is a community that not so long ago, David Cameron, the Prime Minister at the time, said we need to do more to integrate with society.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you are taking part in the funeral of the monarch and grieving with the nation, how more integrated can you be?
Do you think that will be
I think
will
this is a
suffice as
pinnacle of
integration?
integration. And I think if Prince Charles hears about it, sees it on TV, or reads about it in the press, I think it will touch him. And I think it can do a hell of a lot of good for our community generally, in particularly the catering industry. Because the catering industry is our success story, yeah? And samosa is one of the products that the catering industry makes and sells and feeds the nation with. It's part of our culinary culture in this country. This is why I'm so keen. Food is very much part of our culture. And food has made one of the biggest impact, I think, in this country, where Bangladeshi community has played a pivotal role.
Okay, so let me come to you, Shamima. So you're one of the volunteers as well.
Yes.
So obviously you're in a good place, you're in a school, you will have young, children that Ayub Bhai already said that they had students coming. Do you think you'll be able to bring some hands with you?
Well, my hands are very little. I mean, not mine, but my pupils' hands are very little and very small. So for them, I think there will be children there when we see them on Monday. Yeah. But there will probably be children in the kitchen helping and doing what children do. But there will be children and they will be there to enjoy that. I mean, like I was saying...
To get involved, isn't
absolutely,
it? It's
the
about
Queen...
being part of the atmosphere as well. We hear, what Ayub is just saying in terms of this getting to the king and how it may change our, position on the platform. Exactly what do you think it would look like if it was to get to him?
What it would look like is it would be a show of appreciation. I mean, the Queen wasn't just the Queen of England or the UK. She was the head of the Commonwealth, and that includes Bangladesh. And it will show that we are no longer a submissive small country. We are there, we appreciate, we integrate, and we are showing our respect in the way that we can. And like I was saying, food is very important to Bangladeshi culture.
Absolutely. So, Lutfa, I come to you. In terms of British politics, Bangladeshi community has played a very significant part for, many decades now, yes? And in the most recent, I'll let you cough while I ask my question. So in the last 10, 15 years, particularly in Tower Hamlets, with our mayor being Bangladeshi and a lot of media coverage has come, bad or good, positive and negative, both, but that comes with politics, as we know. So do you think, you're a councillor in Redbridge, what will it mean for Bangladeshi councillors in local authorities? Because I know that all around the country, we now have more or less Bangladeshi councillors, all over the place. In some places more, some places less. In Redbridge, it's quite a new, it's a relatively new situation in Redbridge. A few years back, we didn't have Bangladeshi councillors, but in the last few years, we see quite an influx, if I may use the word. So what would it mean within the council for those Bangladeshi councillors?
I mean, keeping to the topic, we will say that we are integrating, and we are integrating with the community. We are taking part in making decision what happens locally, what happens nationally. We have MP, we have SMP as well in Scotland.
Yes.
So we are representing the community. So we are part of the country. We are integrated very well. I mean, Ayub Bhai was also a councillor in the past, and I'm a new councillor in Redbridge. And we don't feel any different to any other councillors from any other culture. So we all work together. We all kind of discuss what is best for the community, how to improve the community education, the well-being, the infrastructure, the environment. So how else do we integrate?
So one might say that where we have one or two Bangladeshi or councillors from ethnic minority, non-white councillors, one might suggest that it's a token gesture. What would you say to that?
I wouldn't say it's a token gesture. I think we are integrating. I think people look at integration in different ways. We have certain restriction, being Muslim. Okay,
What is your restriction being Muslim?
Being Muslim, we will in visual terms.
Is it a restriction or is it an oppression?
No, that's not an oppression. It's of course not oppression.
Then why is
if
it a restriction? Why is it a restriction?
I'm not saying it's a certain restriction. I'm coming to this. So I'm saying we visually we wear hijab, so we are identified differently. Restriction is we don't go into pubs and clubs. We don't drink. We don't do that, join that social aspect. But we have other social aspects. We go into restaurants. We invite people to our homes. We go to their homes. I have white friends who are non-Muslim. They come to our house and we go out to dinner together and we get on really well.
So if we are already integrating and if we already have a good place on the platform, then why do we need to do this?
We don't need to do this. We just want to do this. It's coming from our heart. That's what we want to do. This is how we were brought up, to kind of feed people, and we get together with food. And food is food what brings people together, and this is what we're trying to represent.
You are absolutely right. Food is what brings people together.
And part of our culture is to feed. We have, dawats, the invitation in the house. It's open door policy with us Bengalis. If anybody comes to our house, we feed.
They do not leave without yes.
Can I come in here? Integration doesn't mean assimilation.
Exactly.
It means working together, identifying with some core values, identifying with the society that you are in, but not forgetting the fact we are all different in many ways. It's living together in an atmosphere of mutual tolerance and respect. Okay, we can live in one space, in one country, share lots of things in common. We want good housing, we want good education, we want clean environment. All of these are values that we have total commitment to. No disagreement whatsoever. But at the same time, we have cultural and historical roots, traditions that we think, if you like, adds more value
and quality
and if you like, color to the life here. If all of us were same, life would be very boring.
Indeed.
What makes this country an interesting place to live is the cosmopolitan, multicultural, multiracial.
I absolutely agree with you.
All of these things that we have in one country, one city.
The richness of diversity makes our society as interesting as it is.
That's right.
And I also understand very much the ethos of living in a harmonious community.
Yeah.
But by feeding 96,000 people, do you think our community, our position in this country will be elevated in some way?
We have no such ambitions. We are just doing a human thing at a time when, as human, us, the nation, countries, will be grieving. There will be lots of people on the street, hours and days spent. All we want to do is go and join that grieving.
So my viewers may ask, Ayub, that the Queen obviously is a monarch and is a very huge and unique example of a woman, of a very powerful woman, a very sincere woman, a woman who has dedicated her life to the Commonwealth and to her family and to this nation and many other nations. But she has all along said that her rock was her husband. Now, from the age of 13, she has fallen in love with this man, and she then married him at the age of 21. And ever since, he has been her biggest strength through thick and thin, through the times when her father passed away to the time when Diana passed away, which was the most recent before his death. What did the Bangladeshi community do to show the Queen the appreciation of her loss and to be on her side?
Maybe we should have done something, but he was not the king.
Of course he wasn't.
And it was during COVID, so there wasn't such funeral either.
So going forward,
the profile of the life of the Queen
is very different
and her husband
and I said that
very different.
I said that in my preamble. So what I will say now then, in that case, Ayub, God forbid, but our King Charles III, one day, one guarantee in life is death. When his demise comes, do you think you will want to do the same thing all over
I think there will be a big celebration before he dies. He's already the king, but the formal coronation hasn't taken place yet.
No,
there will be national celebration, and I hope we will join that celebration with even more vigor and with bigger plans.
Yeah, and absolutely, it's a learning process, it's a curve. Yes, maybe we should have done something then, but this is a process we've learned, and now we will do our part to show our appreciation.
Yeah.
I mean, the
And she's the
ideas
queen.
come, new ideas come, new thing emerges,
they evolve.
and this is something new that we build platform on. And our community, British Bangladeshi communities, is known for the catering, and this is kind of representing that as well.
My next question is in relation to the catering industry. So our Bangladeshi people have come into this country from the 40s, some in the 30s, but predominantly from the 40s and 50s, and more in the 60s. And those who arrived here in the 50s and 60s and came and started up the catering industry, for which we are very well known and famous, and we have invested a lot. But that did kind of start dying a death. We are now trying to revive that industry. So do you think our king, new king, King Charles III, that he will, well, maybe not he will, what role can he play in this, do you think? I'll speak to you, Lutfa.
What role? I think he needs to kind of highlight a little bit more the work we have done as Bangladeshi communities. My dad came in the 50s, mid-50s, so he contributed a lot in this country. And there are other parents, and I think he needs to acknowledge, and I think he does in some ways, knows that it's quite acknowledgeable by any community in this country that Bangladeshi communities is known for their catering services.
So I'll go to Ayub Bhai then. Ayub Bhai, in terms of the catering industry, we are trying to revive the industry. And since Channel S has come about, Channel S has done a lot of good work, and there are a lot of events and a lot of boards and, a whole load of stuff that happens throughout the year to put the catering industry on the mainstream platform. And now I think it is. It has reached that level. What do you think our new king can do to make this industry come back and stand on its own 2 feet and bring people from overseas to work in this industry?
Yeah. Well, let me say, first of all, that chicken tikka masala is one of the best, most popular dish in Britain
and
at the moment.
not Vindaloo?
No, chicken tikka masala is number one.
It's
Thousands of chicken tikka masalas are ate every night, especially in the weekends. And I hope our new king is one of them.
Who eats chicken tikka masala?
With tikka masala, because I'm sure the royal family is also eating lots and lots of curries. I know Queen Victoria had her own Indian chef cooking curries for her. So I think that tradition still is alive within the royal family. We don't hear about it because that's the nature of royal life. So I think he will continue to do that. Now, what can he do practically? Here we have to be realistic. Okay.
We are running out of time, so
we have to be realistic. We have a constitutional monarch. Prime Minister is responsible. The government is responsible for running the country on behalf of the monarch.
But we don't have a traditional king, though. We have a king that puts his oar into most businesses.
Let me finish. Now, I'm sure we have a king who has a social conscience, who is very political. He's got his views. And if Bangladeshi community make big noises, hoo-ha, about the problems they're facing, shortage of chefs, shortage of trained workers, shortage of support from the government in terms of subsidy and so on. If it goes to his notice and he remembers what the Bangladeshi community did when his mom died, I'm sure he will make the link, and something, as I said, good might come out of it. I'm an optimist.
You are indeed, yes, and why not?
That's a shout out. That could be a huge impact.
So I guess that from the Bangladeshi community point of view, I guess the community will want to know how we can bring more people into this industry to revive the industry, because a lot of the young people, younger generation or my generation, walked away from this industry because they did not find it attractive. So I guess there is a lot of work that needs to be done from our part, and as well as the royal family, I guess, and the politicians. I come to you, Shamima. So Shamima, I'm not going to ask you about what the king might do or not do. Tell me, we're right at the end of our program. Tell me something a message that you want to give my audience about how you feel about the Queen and how you'll remember her. Very quickly.
The Queen, for me, she was a symbol of continuity, she was tradition, and that is how I will remember her. And I hope that under King Charles III, that her legacy will remain and he will continue and move it forward and bring it to the younger generation.
Thank you very much. Thank you both, Ayubay and Lutfa, for joining me today. And thank you to those who are watching from home and also my callers and my previous guests. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all volunteer to support, to thank our Queen and offer your support in whatever way you can. It could be through physically being there or through other means. Thank you for watching today, and I hope you enjoy your bank holiday, and I hope you do whatever it is that is right for you. Mourn in the way you wish to mourn. Take care. Have a good evening. Assalamu alaikum.